Hello, this is David Bianco at the Safe and Sound Texas Audio Excursion. I welcome you back, and if it's your first time, thanks for joining. So the last video was about the MOFI proposed legal settlement, so we're going to talk a bit more about that.
Oh, hell no!
Yeah, there have been some actions that have happened since then, and what we've gained from that is to find out that A, we now have at least a listing of what the 123 albums are that are related to this case that have the digital step, which I will share with you. And more recently, that proposed settlement has now caused the other legal parties in other cases to see that and say, whoa, wait a second.
Not so fast! Not so fast! I'll have to give the matter a little thought.
That's coming up next here on the Safe and Sound Texas Audio Excursion. So it's kind of interesting. In my last video, pretty much got a lot of thanks for the information kind of comments. Got one or two that were like, hey, get off the topic. It's old, it's redundant. But a lot of this information isn't coming out as I see it. And so I figure, well, I've got to provide some level of visibility because I think it's ironic. MOFI's big problem was transparency. And I certainly don't want this channel to be branded in that way, to not be transparent about what I know. And since I do have some access to this information, I feel it's only fair to share it with the vinyl community. Again, as we always say, in the end, you have the option to turn anything off that you don't want to watch. So for those of you hanging out with me still, I appreciate it. So what's happening here is really kind of interesting. Let me give you really a Cliff's Notes version. There was a legal case first filed in Washington State very early in the process in early August after the awareness of this situation with Mike Esposito going to Sebastopol and meeting with the engineers in late July happened. That happened very quickly. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. I took pre-law. I really like to investigate things and get my information. But even I, when I read that case, looked at it and said, boy, that looks like it was just kind of thrown together. There were some inaccuracies in it. There were some things that weren't mentioned that should have been mentioned. It just caught me that way. And then subsequently, some weeks later, 3 to 5 weeks later, we started to see a suit or two, I think, from Chicago, Illinois area and from, I think, the Carolinas. And these were much better written, much more concise. And I did some research on the legal firms. And the 3 legal firms that followed up with their cases that were written better were, in fact, ones that had class action experience. That was one of their competencies, I would say. Whereas the first case in Washington, I didn't get a sense looking at that group that was really, they were a little more of a hodgepodge of things, but I knew that there was some class action expertise in this latter group. So what happened here in the beginning of 2023 is the one out of Washington proposed a settlement, what they call a reverse auction style, which has this process that we talked about in the other video about giving people an option to return the recordings if they were purchased through them or a distributor that was authorized, brand new, or they could get a compensation of 5 or 10% on their original purchase price to spend more money with MOFI. But that being the case, there was attached to that then a list of the 123 records that Mobile Fidelity has certified and says, hey, as of right now, as of the research we've done, these are the ones. And they go from 2007 to July 27th of 2022, which is kind of when the cat got out of the bag. So that list, I do have a copy of, and I'll be showing you that here toward the end, which lists those. That list could change in that it could increase. I expect it may marginally, but I think this is a huge amount of what they are. So not all those were available on their website to see. If you called Music Director MoFi and you had an inquiry on one, they would in fact let you know, but many of these were not in fact listed on the website. So you'll see some new additions in this list. But what has happened related to this proposed settlement is that these other legal outfits that came in later saw this proposed settlement and now have said, time out. There's some issues with this. The first lawyer wanted to take a certain amount of money, I believe $290,000, give each of the litigants, the two litigants in the Tuttle case, $10,000 each, and then provide this settlement and kind of get it done, be out of Dodge, and that was it. And so the other ones have looked at it, and they don't want that lawyer to be the lead on this class action lawsuit for everybody. They want to get involved in that. They want to have more input into the settlement process. And they basically recognized that this was heading down a fast path that really was going to exclude them to a large degree. So these are all, if you read the legalese, you kind of pick up on the spirit of their concerns and the fact that they were left out and that they want to be involved and be a piece of the puzzle, which may in fact make the settlement in the end even better. Because this was MoFi's first kind of, we'll go along with that. So maybe they feel there's more that can be done. We'll see. I say this only to summarize by saying, the first thing was what was called a proposed settlement. And that proposal, now they are asking that whole proposal be what they call on a stay, which means it's frozen. It can't automatically happen now. It has to be litigated further. These other firms have to be involved. And so it's kind of where it is where it is right now, and they're going to take it through some next steps in February, later this month. And the list is right now. The list, I think it's a objective thing. It is what it is. Again, a few more titles may come out of the woodwork. I think it seems odd to me that the first title that came out in 2007 and then the next one was in 2011 with Tony Bennett. When we had that big of a time gap, I just wonder why. It seems like they might have sprinkled some others in there. So I just wonder if there's more to it and they don't have all the records, no pun intended, that they need to do that research. But that's where it stands as it relates to will it happen? Well, the stay that's been accepted means no, it's not going to happen as it's proposed right now. There's going to be more involvement, going to take a little longer, and we'll see how it benefits the consumer and the not the defendant, but the actual plaintiffs in this case, with MoFi being the defendant, and whether the courts, in fact, will even expect more of them. I tend to think that these other legal firms will expect more, both for themselves and for their particular clients.
More money, more money, more money.
So that's where that stands. Let's go through the list. This is Exhibit A to the list, which is signed off by Jim Davis. A little caveat, there's 123 records on this list, but where Jim signed this, it actually says 124 records. Just another example of how errors slip through the legal system. Well, this is the list, so let's look at them. These are the first ones are the MoFi original master recordings. So these are ones that are labeled at the top, original master recording. These are what are called applicable. You can see where they start here. They're generally alphabetical by the band and the beginning letter of the band or the first name of the person. So you can see it has the SKU number, or the code actually, of the catalog ID, as I would call it. And we'll scroll through these. You can pause if you need to take a look at these or what have you. Just going to kind of move through them. Again, these were done between 2007 and July of 2022. Down to the F's with Foreigner. Hall & Oates is that a correct spelling? I don't know if that's a correct spelling of oats, but anyway. You can spell Schmilson right, but not Oates. Interesting. Okay. There we go. Getting into the J's. A huge swath of Miles Davis records are in here, obviously. There were many, many of those done. And, Columbia, Sony, that's the DSD is made by Sony, ironically. Natalie Merchant Tiger Lily, that was the first in 2007, by the way, or the earliest one on the list so far. Now, that Supertramp Breakfast in America is the one that has been done in the 2000s. There was one done in the 80s, which had an orange original master recording top banner, and it is analog. So you see there at the bottom, Tony Bennett, I Left My Heart in San Francisco from 2011, which MOFI originally said was the first one to get DSD. And then we found out it was Natalie Merchant, actually. And ending with Weezer. Then we come to the one steps. The Ultradisc one steps. Again, these were all the ones released before July 27th, 2022, or on or before July 27th, 2022. So you won't see Michael Jackson's Thriller on here, for example. You won't see any of the later Eagles ones that have come out, for example, as well. So that is the list, my friends. Again, those were original master recordings, which on the top say that, original master recording, and then the one steps. So any of the silver labels, which are on top, say Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab, those are not included in this in any way, shape, or form. Just to make a note for you on that. So that's the latest on the case. As I get more updates, I'll let you know. I also have some excursions coming up. I'm going to be in Europe in a few weeks, and I'm sure I'll be on the hunt for some vinyl, sharing that with you. I also am trying to set up a couple of visits to record plants here in the U.S. in the next 60 to 90 days to share that with you, along with some record reviews. One of the reviews I'm going to be doing is comparing the Breakfast in America Supertramp, the original MFSL Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab version from the old days, which is pure analog, to the one that has DSD. Think it'll be an interesting comparison. Again, thank you for watching the channel. If you haven't yet and you'd like to, I'd appreciate any help in subscribing. Liking this video is also helpful to the old algorithm for YouTube, as well as comments. I'd like to know what you think of this list. Anything on there surprising? Anything not on there that you thought would be on there? Let me know in the comments. So for now, take care of yourselves, and thanks again for joining me at the Safe and Sound Texas audio excursion. Take care, everybody.